what's up folks? Welcome back to Duster Bust. Happy Sunday. So today I wanted to talk about these heads that we have here. So these are the original heads from our 74 Plymouth Duster 360. And so I was in here yesterday working on these heads, trying to basically assess the health of them, figure out what it's going to take to get these running and in good shape. So wanted to talk through the steps that I use to assess these and what we're going to do going forward. So first, quick disclaimer, this is all still pretty new to me. This is the first car that I build, but I'm very passionate about doing this all myself and doing it right. So as I research things, I am making these videos both to kind of document this and to hopefully help some other people out on their car journey as well. So hopefully you find this useful and or entertaining. If you do, help me out with a like and subscribe. So just around 600 subscribers right now on that quest to get to 1,000. So your help would be much appreciated. So that being said, let's get back to it. So this is what I was working on yesterday, is trying to figure out what's going on with these heads. So I do know the history of this car. This was my uncle's car originally, so I have a good feel for kind of what's going on. And these are, I'm pretty positive this is all the original stuff. So I don't think these have ever been opened, ever been worked on, and this is a 47-year-old car. So it's pretty cool to check this out and see what has held up over that time. Now it wasn't a ton of mileage on the car, but still that's a lot of time. So let me talk you through the steps that I used to assess the health of this. So starting out, I wanted to, and I still got to do this side, I got this one all torn up and we'll talk through this, but this one is together because it'll be a little easier to show, and then I'll rip this one apart this afternoon. So first I wanted to see how well is this sealing up. So what's the condition of the valve seats? So the way that I did that was basically did the light check. So I closed the door in here, shut off the lights, took a flashlight, just the flashlight on my phone, shined it through the ports on both the intake and exhaust, and shining it through and looking for light coming out through the bottom. Nothing, no light coming out, so passed the first test, that looked good. Moved on to alcohol test. So just simple rubbing alcohol, and I can't take credit for this one. I saw this done on the channel 318 Will Run. That guy does some awesome work, very knowledgeable, so I'm gonna link a video of a head assessment that he did below, which included doing that alcohol test. But basically what you do is you stand it up on edge like this and you pour alcohol into the port enough to cover up the valve, basically fill the port up. And because alcohol is cheap, so you fill the port up and then you just watch it for a few minutes and see if it starts to leak out any alcohol, and then flip it over, do the same to the other side, and thankfully it was in great shape. There was no leaks on it, which tells me that the seats are in really good shape. So that was great news, because if I had to go and get them remachined, that's more cost, more time. So once that was done, scoot that one out of the way a little bit, now it's time to disassemble the springs, the valve assembly up on top here, and take a look at how these different components are set up. And I still have it all kind of laid out in order here. Definitely want to keep track of where everything goes. So use my simple AutoZone spring compressor, and you definitely want to be careful with these. Don't put your finger in a spot where you're going to get pinched, and wear some safety glasses just in case something blows up on you, because there is a lot of pressure on these springs. So what I did was next use my spring compressor, took my retainers off, and then I can get a good look at the condition of my springs, my seals, and all of that. So the springs, I'm just doing a visual inspection here. There are some tools where you can actually check the spring constants and stuff. I don't have those. I think that's, for what I'm doing here, basically stock rebuild, I think that's probably a little overkill. So I just wanted to start with a simple visual inspection. And these are a little dirty, but overall they look and feel right, you know, using the spring compressor. They all had a similar behavior, so I think all my springs are in really good shape. Not surprisingly, my seals are all cracked. You know, rubber, 47-year-old rubber, that's to be expected. And the basic rebuild kit that I have even comes with some new ones. So no surprise there, those were a little worn out. All right, next, time to inspect the valves itself and the valve guides. So what I did here was I had a bit more dirt than I wanted to drag through the guide. So the guide basically just being the tube that this fits in. So I started out by just cleaning this up real well, just to get the crud off of it. And I actually just used a little bit of 1000 grit just to make sure there weren't any burrs on anything, because I didn't want to damage the guide as I pulled it through. So from there, you know, I'm just pulling my valves out through the bottom, and then I can get up in here and I can just do a visual inspection of how, you know, how clean those are. And I went ahead and took just a little simple plastic brush and just did a quick clean out of all of these, just with a little bit of oil, just cleaning out any crud that's in there. And then what I'm doing, again, visual inspection of my seats. Seats are in great shape. I'm pretty lucky on that. And then what I'm doing to inspect the guides and the valves themselves is I'm just basically doing a little bit of a wiggle here, trying to wiggle it and seeing if the valve and guide tolerance is correct. And they really shouldn't have any wiggle, but you should still be able to move them freely, and that's exactly what we have. There's virtually zero wiggle on all of them, and they all move pretty freely. So we are in great shape on our guides and our seats, which was awesome news. All right, so that means that if we were just doing a plain Jane stock rebuild, I could literally just throw on my new seals and be in good shape. But if I already have it all torn up, I want to make the most of this. So we're going to do a few performance changes as well. So what we're going to do is, starting with our valves, you know, we're going to go through and kind of back face this. We're going to take off this little lip here. We're going to, and we'll do that all next week. I'll talk about that a lot more next week. But you know, some of the things that I've seen on Uncle Tony's Garage and a few other channels to try to improve performance a little bit. So we're going to do a little bit of milling on our valves, and then we're going to go in here and we're going to basically port out the bowls. And again, we'll do this all for the next week, but we're going to go through and port it. And then the gasket matching. Ugh. Man, as much as these are heavy. Ugh. If money was no object, I would get some aluminum ones, but it is what it is. These, after they're ported, I think they're going to be great. They're still going to be heavier than, you know, a set of new aluminum ones, but I just can't justify the cost of aluminum right now. So starting with the exhaust side here. All right, so these are just the Summit brand headers, ceramic coated, but I think these are going to be awesome on there. So they came with this nice gasket. So those are going to be cool. So, but it came with this nice gasket. So what I did was I basically lined up the gasket on here, and I just marked out with a paint pen where we're going to mill out so that we can gasket match it to the headers. On the intake side, I don't really like any of the gaskets that I have. So I have the stock gasket kit, but we're going to go with the Edelbrock RPM intake. So it's a little bit, you know, cleaned up on this section here. So what I'm going to end up doing, because I didn't really like the gaskets that I have, I'm going to order the Edelbrock gasket that's hopefully going to fit the intake better, and then we will gasket match versus that gasket, and I think that's the best way that it's going to come out. So we got a lot of machining. Oh, one last thing here is pretty simple, but we still have kind of the casting slag on some of the oil porting, so I'm going to come through and clean all that up as well. But the critical stuff is in good shape. It's mostly just, you know, a few performance tweaks that we can do to it. But overall, it was really exciting that these are in good shape. So I'm glad that they've held up so well, and that saves me quite a bit of money, because if these were bad, then you know, lots of money goes really quickly. So that's it. That's what we have going on. I need to strip down the other one, make sure that everything is in good shape on that one. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be exactly the same as this one. And then I'm going to start in on all the milling. Oh, one last thing, painting. So I actually need a little bit of help from you guys on this one. This is a 1974, and this is a Chrysler blue is the color that it's supposed to be. And I'm trying to find the best Chrysler blue option out there. I'm having a little bit of trouble. So VHT makes an early Chrysler blue, but that one's more of the turquoise that I've seen on like the earlier big blocks. Duplicolor makes a Chrysler blue, but I've heard some people say that maybe it's a little too blue. It's not right. So what have you guys used? Let me know if you guys have any recommendations for what is the right Chrysler blue to actually put on this thing. So I'm going to get this thing, hopefully heads milled out, ported, painted, and put back together for next weekend, and then hopefully be able to show you guys that next weekend. So that's it. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you found this useful and or entertaining. Drop me a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you all next week. Take care, folks.